So, episode 7 of Kimetsu no Yaiba once again covers two chapters. Chapter 12 titled I Can't Tell You and Chapter 13 titled It Was You. The first half of the episode literally covers the contents of chapter 12, and as we transition into the second half of the episode, following the eye catcher, the coverage of chapter 13 begins. Now, chapter 12 as a whole is a chapter that serves relatively simple purposes. For one, it continues with something that was semi-established last episode. This being the fact that Nezuko is not only capable of protecting herself, but also capable of protecting others. And although Tanjirou did have to come in and help her in the end, take note that this was her first battle in a very long time since before we had the various 6-month time skips. But the combat itself was amazing. I very much enjoyed the way both fights were adapted for different reasons. Those fights, of course, being the one between Nezuko and the single swamp demon on the surface, and Tanjirou versus the remaining 3 swamp demons within the swamp itself. Frankly, the Swamp Demon's Blood Demon art techniques weren't too crazy. Remember, Blood Demon art techniques are essentially special demon abilities. And the more we get into this series, you anime-onlys will begin to realize just how crazy and influential these Blood Demon art techniques can be in battle, especially when demons already hold a natural advantage. Oftentimes, when it comes to those Blood Demon art techniques, they can, and in my opinion do, lead to some battles that are pretty hard to follow. Though I wouldn't necessarily say this is one of those times, as it's basic hand-to-hand combat going on the surface, which not only is captured ridiculously well, but also Nezuko's fight was extended a little bit. Meanwhile, in the swamp, while there is a lot of movement, it's not anything too crazy, to the point where I'm confused trying to figure out where each character went. And also, the fight itself just consists of Tanjirou recalling his training and using it to put himself in a position to succeed and get one good breath of water technique out, which he did, and as per usual looked ridiculously amazing. Though I do feel like this chapter had one bigger responsibility, and that responsibility being, in 2 words, make us fear and wonder about MUZAN KIBUTSUJI. Now I want you all to take note that the Swamp Demon is denying to give any information on MUZAN to Tanjirou with this look on his face, all while pointing a katana at his neck. Tanjirou literally holds this demon's life in his hands. The Swamp Demon isn't under some spell that's keeping him from talking. It's complete and utter fear that's keeping the Swamp Demon from talking. And with a single glare, MUZAN, during chapter 13, is able to strike that fear. A mysterious and very terrifying character, but despite all the harm we know he has caused, not only to Tanjirou but who knows how many other lives he's brought tragedy to, is living his regular life with a daughter and a wife. MUZAN seems like he himself has something that he holds dear, something that keeps him going, and something that he's obviously going to do anything to protect. And because this whole situation is as big of a surprise to us as it is to Tanjirou, we have absolutely no idea whether MUZAN's family knows about the real MUZAN. The MUZAN that with a single action, a single cut, a single drop of his blood is able to cause all types of harm, is able to bring ruin to entire villages, let alone families. This is the thing Tanjirou and Nezuko are up against. This is the source of their pain. And while on the topic of pain, more so with the type that is brought up by loss, we see how these unexpected losses truly affect people differently this episode. There's no catch, even after all of Tanjirou's and Nezuko's efforts, Kazume's fiance is gone, she's dead. And I mentioned this last episode, how Tanjirou suffered something quite similar, although in a much more drastic scale, of course. If Kazumi, after a single, but of course heart-wrenching loss, wanders the village the way he does, and for a split second shows absolutely no will or resolve to live, can you just imagine how Tanjirou would be like if Giyu hadn't showed him a path where he could fight and do something about what was taken from him, rather than just sulking and desperately looking for a reason to keep on living? I don't really think there's a right or wrong way to deal with such a loss. Honestly, I think whether you end up in a position similar to Tanjirou's or Kazumi's is completely up to chance. But I do like the fact that Tanjirou realizes that Kazumi desperately needs responsibility. He desperately needs something to strive for. And that doesn't necessarily have to be redemption. It doesn't necessarily have to be revenge. Plus, it takes a certain something from someone to be able to walk the path of a demon slayer. And honestly, I don't think Tanjirou is good at judging whether or not someone is capable of walking that path. Not yet, at least. But like I said, Tanjirou does offer Kazumi some solace. My favorite part of this interaction between Kazumi and Tanjirou is, funny enough, the bits where they have the least to say about each other. I mean, I just said it takes a certain something from someone to walk down the path of a demon slayer, and Kazumi, simply by feeling Tanjirou's hands, realizes all the work he's put in order for him to be able to do something about the tragedy that almost took all of his family away from him. And no amount of heartache can keep you from recognizing that. No amount of heartache can keep you from giving a member of the Demon Slayer Corps the respect that they deserve. This adaptation just continues to impress me week in and week out, and it's annoying as I'm tired of sucking this series' cock. But you know, fuck it, I mentioned it last week and I'll keep on bringing it up as the music and sound design continue being amazing. The episode's second half, while definitely not being the most action-packed, the build-up to the scene where Tanjirou confronts MUZAN was handled ridiculously well. And I loved these sort of B-roll shots of the city of Asakusa and just basic architecture. They were so beautiful and extremely realistic. This adaptation to me has been my favorite in a long while. But hey, these are my thoughts and I'm curious to read yours. If you are an anime only, let me know how you felt about this episode and any predictions you may have. What are your initial thoughts on this series' main antagonist, MUZAN KIBUTSUJI? Is this human role that he's playing something genuine or just a means to blend into the crowd? And if you're a manga reader, let me know how you felt Ufotable adapted this episode and what parts do you think they could have done a better job with, if any. Also, feel free to discuss anything I forgot to mention in the comments below. Please like the video, it helps the channel out a lot. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter, link in the description. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to hit that bell. That way you don't miss a video and can continue watching Kimetsu no Yaiba and many other series with me. And with that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.